I was in the United Kingdom recently on a book tour, and we visited several museums. But there's one particular one that stood out, Osborne. This is Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's holiday palace at the beach in a little island called the Isle of Wight. As I walked into the different exhibition rooms, I finally entered the Queen's bedroom exhibition. And I saw these beautiful tapestries. And there was this one 15 by 30-inch tapestry that stood out. And as you zoom closer into it, you could see the different patterns of strands that were interconnected that made up this beautiful historical artifact. I remember immediately thinking about the doilies our grandmothers used to make that I'm sure many of you have in your own homes. And it triggered this thought in my head. Like the tapestries of the UK and the doilies of SA, that patterns are always interconnected in our lives. Growing up, I've always been connected to patterns. They provided me a sense of structure and order. From the structured rosters of the teachers to the drum beat and drum sound of the small little beats we created with the pen and the board duster on the school desks with my fellow students, only but to forget those destructive cycles in our communities. Those destructive cycles of violence, of crime, of abuse, of joblessness, of fatherlessness, of teenage pregnancy, or even the lack of financial knowledge that perpetuated poverty. But you see, my community also had great traditions. Traditions of love, of hope, of purpose. Traditions of helpfulness. We all helped one another. Today, I'll help you, perhaps with some tea bags. Tomorrow, you'll help me with some sugar. And that continued from generation to generation, even to this day. You know, Rachel Yehuda speaks about the fact that patterns can determine and impact who we are, our health, and who we would become. Along with David S. Black, they write about the fact that these patterns and these experiences can even impact our future, our genetic DNA, and our well-being. I was so fortunate, and I'm so excited about the fact that even though I did not know this, I was able to break free from my own patterns, my own cycles. What you may not know is that my father was a warlock who operated in the occult. And he wanted me, his eldest son, to live in his footsteps, to fulfill his dreams and his ambitions and his traditions. But I saw that there was devastation there. I saw the fruits of devastation. I saw the fruits of stagnation. I saw that there is one way, and it was destructive. I realized at a young age that whilst I may not necessarily have participated in the different things my dad did, whether I did not like it or not, that I was still interconnected to my father's toxic, occultic entanglements. And I decided there and then that I'm going to break free. I knew that I needed to unwind myself from these patterns, the tapestry that built within my DNA that could leave that residue of what my father actually wanted me to become. And I decided that I'm going to break free. So perhaps you may not have the type of patterns that I may have. You may not go through the type of things and cycles that I may go through, right? But as you're thinking about that, I want you to think about the fact that not so long ago, our whole world went through a traumatic experience. You and I probably have some friends and family members, and maybe even some of us, that may still be working through anxiety, fear, isolation, depression. And that's not to say that we didn't have patterns that we needed to work through already. Things like procrastination, unforgiveness, doubt, anxiety. Or what about the fact that you may be dating a cycle? The same person, the same type of pattern, the same character with a different face. And there may be other type of patterns that you may go through. And we need to unwind ourselves consistently from these destructive cycles. I know that I had to come to a realization that I could not overcome this cycle, this pattern on my own. I needed help. I needed a higher power to be able to free me from many of this. And so, as we create new patterns, as we create new opportunities, we need to understand and rest assured that even though we have these patterns operating in our lives, that we have the ability and the responsibility to ourselves and our future generations to break free from them. To create new ones, positive ones, ones that present hope, that present a future that you can see. So I knew that to break free, I needed three main things. Things that did not need to keep me tied, but that needed me to submit. I needed faith. I needed prayer. And I needed community. You see, those are three things that it doesn't matter from which background you come from. It doesn't matter what your belief systems are. But many of us have that in common. To many of us, that is what we are interconnected to. Prayer, faith, and community. You see, when we pray, we submit. Whether you call it prayer, whether you call it meditation, we submit to the fact that there's a higher power. For me, the higher power is God. Faith in this higher power and faith in the fact that you can make it. Finally, community. It was a young community in that time when I decided that helped me break free. So, let's unwind. Let's connect and create a new future of positively thinking, destiny changing, pattern breaking young people that creates a new generation. Because remember, what we are weaving today is just as important as what we're leaving for our tomorrow. Thank you.